Welcome to Marble Mind. Here, we forge an unshakable spirit in the fire of ancient wisdom. Imagine a vast, dark ocean, and in the center of it, a single, massive pillar of stone. The waves crash against it with fury. The salt stings its surface. The wind howls, trying to find a crack to tear it apart. But the stone does not argue with the waves. It does not feel insulted by the storm. It simply remains. This is the soul of the Stoic when faced with the poison of the world. Most men are not pillars. They are mirrors. When someone shouts at them, they shout back. When someone insults them, they bleed. They have given the keys to their internal fortress to every stranger on the street, to every anonymous voice on a screen, to every petty critic in the office. If a single word from a fool can ruin your day, then you are a slave. You are a puppet dancing on the strings of people you don't even respect. You are fragile. And in this world, the fragile are eventually shattered. In this session, we are going to learn the art of psychological invincibility. We will study how Cato the Younger reacted when he was spat upon in a court of law, how Epictetus taught his students to smile at slander, and how Marcus Aurelius viewed the insults of the masses as the mere barking of stray dogs. We are not going to talk about tolerance. We are going to talk about dominance through indifference. You will learn that an insult is not a wound. It is an opinion. And an opinion has no power unless you grant it permission to enter your mind. We will strip away your social ego, that desperate part of you that craves approval, and replace it with a core of solid marble. By the end of this journey, the poison of others will become the medicine of your own growth. The world will throw its fire at you, and you will use that fire to harden your steel. The forge is hot, the waves are rising, and the silence of the stone is waiting. Let us learn how to ignore them into oblivion. To defeat an insult, you must first understand what it is, and more importantly, what it is not. Most people believe that an insult is a physical strike, a spear of energy that pierces the heart. But the Stoic master looks at it with the cold eyes of a scientist. He sees that an insult is nothing more than a vibration of air, a sequence of sounds produced by a biological organism, or a series of pixels on a screen. Epictetus, who spent years in the chains of slavery, taught his students a fundamental truth. People don't have the power to hurt you, even if they hit you, even if they insult you. The thing that hurts you is your own belief that you are being harmed. Think about this deeply. If someone calls you a blue-headed monster, you do not get angry. Why? Because you know it is not true. It is a ridiculous statement that says more about the speaker's sanity than your appearance. You laugh, or you feel pity. But if someone calls you lazy or cowardly, you feel the sting. Why? Because you are complicit in the insult. You have allowed your own judgment to agree with the attacker. You have wounded yourself. To build the marble mind, you must adopt the doctrine of objective representation. When someone insults you, strip the event of its emotional clothing. Do not say, "He insulted me and humiliated me." Say, "He uttered certain words." That is the objective reality. The humiliation is a story you are telling yourself. It is an interpretation you have added to the facts. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. He knew that the people he would encounter would be arrogant, ungrateful, and surly. He viewed their insults as a natural byproduct of their ignorance. He compared it to the smell of a man's armpits or the bad breath of a stranger. You do not get angry at a smell. It is simply a fact of nature. You acknowledge it, and you move on. Practical advice. When the next insult comes, do not react. Instead, perform a mental autopsy. Ask yourself, is this true? If it is true, then they have not insulted you. They have provided you with a mirror to fix your flaws. If it is false, then they have merely demonstrated their own blindness. In neither case is anger a rational response. An insult is a gift that you refuse to accept. If someone offers you a gift and you do not take it, who does the gift belong to? It stays with the giver. Leave the poison in their hands. The stone does not bleed when the mud is thrown. It waits for the rain to wash it away, and the rain always comes. There is no greater test of the marble mind than public humiliation. To be shamed in front of your peers is the ultimate fire. Many men can handle a private insult, but few can remain stone when their dignity is spat upon in the light of day. For this, we look to Cato the Younger, the man who stood as a living monument to stoic defiance in the face of Caesar's tyranny. The story is told that Cato was once pleading a case in a court of law when an opponent, a man filled with rage and lack of character, stepped forward and spat directly into Cato's face. The courtroom froze. The air became thick with the expectation of violence or an explosion of anger. A normal man would have struck back. A weak man would have collapsed in shame. But Cato did something that echoed through the centuries. He reached into his toga, slowly wiped the spittle from his forehead, and said with a voice as calm as a mountain spring, "I will swear to anyone, Lentulus, that those are mistaken who say you cannot use your mouth." Think of the power in that silence. By refusing to get angry, Cato demonstrated that the attacker was too insignificant to disturb his peace. He did not tolerate the insult. He transcended it. He treated the spit like a drop of rain, something that touched his skin but could never reach his soul. To ignore them like Cato, you must realize that the person who insults you is suffering from a disease of the mind. Their anger is their own punishment. When someone spits on you, they are only showing the world the poison that lives inside their own chest. Why should you join them in their sickness? Why should you let their filth become your internal reality? Practical advice. When someone attacks your dignity, remember the Cato filter. Ask yourself, does this person have the authority to define who I am? If the answer is no, then their words are just wind. Their attempt to shame you is actually a confession of their own weakness. Remain still, remain clean, and let the world see that your temple is made of stone, not of ego. The Stoic does not always respond with silence. Sometimes, he responds with a smile that cuts deeper than any blade. This is the art of Stoic irony. It is the realization that if someone insults you, they probably don't even know the half of it. By using humor, you show that you are so secure in your character that the attacker's words are not a threat. They are a comedy. Epictetus was a master of this. He used to tell his students, "If you hear that someone has spoken ill of you, do not defend yourself against the claims. Just say, 'He must not know my other faults, or he would not have mentioned only these.'" This is a masterstroke of psychological warfare. By agreeing with the insult, or by adding to it, you completely drain the attacker of their power. An insult requires friction to work. It needs you to push back so that the fire can grow. But when you laugh, or when you humbly acknowledge your own imperfections, there is nothing for the attacker to hit. They are punching the air, and they look foolish in the process. Think of the Emperor Julian when he was mocked for his beard and his simple ways. He didn't execute his critics. He wrote a book called The Beard Hater, mocking himself even more than they did. He took the weapon out of their hands and turned it into a tool of his own philosophy. Practice the ego dissolution response. Next time someone tries to belittle you, do not sharpen your tongue. Instead, sharpen your wit. If they call you a fool, agree that you are still learning. If they mock your failure, invite them to see the many other failures you have committed. This is not weakness. It is absolute dominance. It shows that your self-worth is so high that a mere word cannot even graze the surface. When you can laugh at yourself, you are truly free, because you have no secret pride for others to guard or attack. The fool wants a fight. Give him a mirror instead. If this path resonates in your heart, become a part of our brotherhood. Subscribe to Marble Mind. The Stoic does not see an insulter as a warrior to be defeated. He sees him as a patient to be pitied. This is the radical shift of the marble mind. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that to be angry at a person's flaws is like being angry at a blind man for not seeing, or a deaf man for not hearing. If a man insults you, it is because he has a warped perception of reality. He thinks he is doing something good or just for himself, but he is actually drinking poison and expecting you to die. Think of the world as a massive hospital, and every person who lashes out in anger is simply a patient screaming in pain. Their insults are not a reflection of your character. They are a symptom of their disease. When a man in a fever dream shouts nonsense, you do not take it personally. You do not get offended. You simply observe the illness. This is the clinical perspective. When someone attacks you, look past the words and see the fear, the insecurity, and the ignorance that drives them. They are trapped in their own mental prison, and they are trying to pull you in with them. Why would you want to join them? By feeling compassion, or even a cold, detached pity, you maintain your position as the sovereign. Practical advice. The next time you are insulted, pause and say to yourself, "This man is suffering from a false judgment. I will not catch his contagion." Do not pity them out of a sense of holiness. Pity them because you are the one who is free, and they are the ones in chains. The stone does not hate the mud for being dirty. it simply remains the stone. One of the greatest illusions of the ego is the belief that your reputation belongs to you. It does not. Your reputation is nothing more than the collection of thoughts in the minds of others, and you have zero control over what lives in another man's skull. To be upset by an insult is to try and possess something that is not yours. It is like being angry because the wind changed direction or the tide came in. Epictetus taught the enchiridion of freedom. He categorized everything into two boxes: what is up to us and what is not. Your character, your choices, your intentions, these are yours. But the words coming out of a stranger's mouth, that belongs to the externals. It is indifferent to your virtue. When someone slanders you, they are only damaging their own integrity. They are not touching you. You are the captain of your soul, not the curator of your public image. If you spend your life trying to fix everyone's opinion of you, you are a beggar. You are wandering the streets asking for crumbs of approval. Practice reputation divestment. Imagine your reputation as a ghost. Let it walk through the streets. Let people throw stones at it. Let them curse it. It doesn't matter, because the ghost is not you. You are the one sitting in the quiet of your own reason, unaffected by the noise. If you are a good man and people say you are bad, does that make you bad? If you are a wise man and 1,000 fools call you an idiot, does your intelligence vanish? Of course not. The truth is independent of the vote. Stop checking the social market for your value. The marble mind is self-valued, and the opinions of the masses are just a light rain on an iron roof. The common man fears the insult. The stoic titan welcomes it. Why? Because every insult is a free training session. You cannot build a strong body without the resistance of heavy iron, and you cannot build a strong mind without the resistance of difficult people. When someone attacks you, they are providing you with the exact weight you need to grow. Think of a fire. A small flame is extinguished by the wind, but a great forest fire devours the wind and grows stronger because of it. You must become that forest fire. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." If someone slanders you, they are giving you a rare opportunity to practice patience, self-control, and magnanimity. Without enemies, without critics, without the poison of the world, your virtues remain theoretical. You only think you are calm until someone insults your mother. You only think you are disciplined until someone questions your competence. The insult is the audit of the soul. It shows you exactly where your ego is still soft, where your vanity is still hiding. Practical advice. Instead of saying, "How dare they say this to me?" say, "Thank you for the test." Use their toxicity as a mirror. If the insult hurts, ask yourself, why did I let this in? What part of my ego is still insecure? Every critic is a volunteer coach for your character. They are pointing out the cracks in your armor for free. Don't kill the messenger. Fix the armor. Most people believe that to win an argument, you must have the last word. They think that a clever comeback is a sign of strength. But the marble mind knows that silence is the most terrifying response in the human lexicon. When you respond to an insult with a verbal attack, you are descending into the mud with the pig. You are acknowledging that the attacker is your equal. But when you remain silent, when you look at the shouting man with the calm, detached curiosity of a scientist observing a strange insect, you establish a profound hierarchy of spirit. Your silence says, "Your words are not even significant enough to warrant a vibration of my vocal cords." It is the ultimate display of sovereignty. Think of the stoic pause. When the insult lands, do not speak. Count to 10 or wait a day. By delaying your response, you move the conflict from the animal brain, the amygdala, to the emperor's brain, the prefrontal cortex. You rob the attacker of the one thing they crave, a reaction. An insulter is a vampire who feeds on your emotional distress. If you remain cold and silent, they starve. Practical advice. The next time someone tries to provoke you, try the dead air technique. Look them in the eye, breathe slowly, and say nothing. Wait for the silence to become uncomfortable for them. Most people will start to stutter, backtrack, or reveal their own embarrassment. Your silence is a mirror that forces them to look at their own ugliness. The man who can hold his tongue when his ego is screaming is the man who can rule an empire. Words are cheap, but the silence of the stone is eternal. Whenever an insult feels heavy, whenever the words of a critic seem to burn your skin, you must apply the perspective of the grave. Marcus Aurelius was obsessed with the transience of all things. He reminded himself that both the man who insults and the man who is insulted will be dead in a few years, and shortly after that, they will both be forgotten. Think of the great men of Rome, the bitter rivalries, the Senate floor insults, the slanders that led to civil wars. Where are they now? They are dust. The voices that shouted are silent. The ears that heard them are gone. The poison they fought over has vanished into the earth. When you take a cosmic view of an insult, it becomes microscopic. A man calls you a name? This is a tiny event occurring on a tiny planet in a flash of time that is less than a second in the eyes of the universe. To get angry at such a thing is to lose your sense of proportion. It is to act as if you are immortal and your image is eternal. Practical exercise. The century test. Ask yourself, will this insult matter in 100 years? The answer is always no. By realizing the brevity of life, you realize the triviality of social friction. Do not waste your limited heartbeats on the opinions of ghosts. You are a traveler passing through a strange land. Why would you stop your journey to argue with a shadow? Your thought is important. Leave a short but meaningful comment under this video. Let it be your seal on today's lesson. The common man is crushed by insults because he is surprised by them. He expects the world to be kind. He expects people to be reasonable. And when they are not, his spirit breaks. But the Titan is never surprised because he has already lived through every insult in his mind before the sun came up. This is the practice of social premeditation. Every morning, you must sit in the silence and tell yourself, today, I will be met with the insolent, the treacherous, the slanderous, and the foolish. You walk through the worst-case scenario of your social interactions. You see the colleague betraying you, You see the stranger mocking you. You see the friend failing you. By preloading these events, you remove their power to shock you. When the insult finally comes, it is not a wound, it is a prediction confirmed. You don't say, "How could he say this?" You say, "Ah, there is the man Marcus Aurelius warned me about." Exactly on schedule. To ignore them, you must first expect them. The Stoic is like a fortress that has already been besieged 1,000 times in simulation. When the actual enemy arrives, the gates are already locked, the archers are already on the walls, and the commander is already drinking his wine in peace. Practical advice: mentally rehearse the worst possible thing someone could say about you. Sit with that thought. Feel the initial sting, and then breathe it out. Realize that even if the whole world shouted that insult at once, you would still be exactly who you are. Nothing has changed. Your character is a citadel, and words have no hands to tear down the stone. The ultimate goal of ignoring the world is not to become a hermit. It is to become a sovereign. Most people live in a state of social dependence. They are like flowers that need the sunlight of approval to open, and the moment the clouds of criticism appear, they wither. This is a pathetic existence. To be a titan of the marble mind, you must move your source of value from the outside to the inside. You must reach a state where you are the only judge of your own worth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything that is beautiful in itself, and terminates in itself. Praise is no part of it, or nothing becomes either better or worse by being praised." Think of an emerald. Does it become less precious if no one admires it? Does it lose its color if someone calls it a common stone? No, it remains an emerald. Its value is intrinsic. To reach this final stage, you must perform the total detachment. You must accept that you will be misunderstood, you will be misjudged, and you will be disliked by people who are not qualified to understand you. And you must be perfectly okay with that. In fact, you should take pride in the disapproval of the foolish. If a man who lives in the mud thinks you are arrogant because you walk on the mountain, his opinion only proves that you are on the right path. Practical advice: seek the internal reward. At the end of the day, do not ask, "What did they think of me?" Ask, "Did I act with justice? Did I maintain my composure? Did I remain stone?" If the answer is yes, then you have won the only war that matters. The noise of the crowd is just a distant echo in a valley you have already left behind. The fire is cold, the marble is set, and the arrows of the world are broken at your feet. We have journeyed from the raw sting of the insult to the cold sovereignty of the stone. We have learned that words are wind, that reputation is a ghost, and that the person who tries to hurt you is merely a patient in the hospital of the world. You are no longer a mirror. You are a monolith. Go out into the world today and test your new skin. When the next provocateur comes, when the next critic opens his mouth, do not reach for your shield. You don't need one. Just stand there, breathe, and let their poison pass through you like smoke. Do not even give them the satisfaction of your anger. Give them the world wants to make you small. It wants to pull you down into the mud of he said, she said. It wants you to care about things that have no weight. Refuse. Choose the high path of the Stoic. Choose the silence that speaks louder than 1,000 shouts. You are a part of the marble mind. You are the captain of your soul and the master of your internal fortress. Let the dogs bark. The mountain does not turn its head. Stay cold, stay clean, and remain stone. This is marble mind.